Hi, this is Eric with the details, and today I want to make a video on how to do the rinseless wash on the wheel. I've noticed on the internet there's a lot of different methods. I particularly don't like the method where you're using microfibers to wipe a tire. I never could get over the fact that you're using a microfiber towel to wipe a dirty rim. Also, I use the same bucket of rinseless wash for multiple washes. The only thing that ever goes into it is clean microfibers, so I never have excess solution in order to clean the wheel. So I devised something I think works out pretty well, and I'll show you how I'll do that today. See my tools of the trade here. Wheel Brightner. I use that sometimes, not all the time. A windy day, I don't like to use it just for the fact that you might catch a face full of acid. It's never good. This actually isn't all-season dressing. It's Stoner's dressing, which is just straight, undiluted. Lasts about a week. It's not too bad. This is Super-Degreaser Meguiars 4-to-1. This is Meguiars non-acid wheel and tire cleaner. And as a drying aid, I always like to use the Express Wax. It's so popular these days. Today I'll use the wheel and tire cleaner, and you notice I've got the Talco foaming sprayer nozzle on the bottle. I've been playing around with this nozzle. I'm still not sold on it yet. It seems to use a little bit more product, but I like the fact that it foams on there and it stays a little bit longer. And of course on the wheel acid I have a acid resistant sprayer, which I do suggest because even the chemical resistant sprayers, I kept going through them and had to replace them pretty often. Now here's the key to the whole system. As you can see, I got the Gamma Seal on here, which I'll add that Home Depot now sells the Gamma Seals, so that's convenient. You don't have to buy them online anymore. And I take this with me when I do my mobile washes. A lot of my washes that I don't have water readily available. This is just water. Of course, I spray a little bit of ONR in here, one squirt. I put that stuff on everything. You can see the wheel woolly brushes, which are pretty popular now. Got the set of 3. I also bought the Boars hair brush and this little brush here for details on the wheel itself. There is a grit guard down in here, but when I closed this brush here, the big one, was too long and it stuck out the bucket, so I actually cut the end of it off. I don't really know why it's that long to begin with, but now it fits in the bucket better. And as long as I put this grit guard in here this way, I can close the lid without any problems. But once I start using it, I just put the grit guard down into it, just like you normally would. Everything's concealed in there. I start out, I take a little 4-to-1 degreaser, get up in the wheel well. If I was using wheel acid for the rim this time, I would also do the tire. But since I'm using the wheel and tire cleaner, I can use this for both the rim and the tire. You can see this stuff, it foams pretty good, but you use a lot of product. So that's something that I'm not sure I like yet. I'm still playing around with it and trying to decide. When you use a regular sprayer, it just comes on as clear liquid. But the foam is kind of nice. You can see it really gets in there and stays on the rim a nice long time. But it just takes a lot to get decent coverage on here. Nice and sloppy. Once I get that done, usually let it sit a little bit. Few minutes. But I'll go right into it. First thing I like to do is I'll grab the large wheel woolly, a little bit of stuff on there, and I'll get up in the wheel well. Get that degreaser off of there. You can see it's the water. I'm actually using this to rinse all the chemical off, and that's the key to this system. Since I'm not going to have a running water hose source of water to rinse, and you use your actual bucket to rinse it off. Then I like to go to the Boars hair brush, get all the way around, put more water on there, got the tire, start hitting the rim. You can see the stuff's already working. A lot of this stuff's coming off. See it running down, big difference already. And I clean these rims maybe once every 2 weeks, so but they still have the original stock brake pads on them. And you know that they really put a lot of brake dust out from these factories. They use the cheaper brake pads, not the ceramic ones that don't brake dust as much. Take the big one, get in these holes. I know some people like to get way deep down in there, and that's not bad either. You can still do that. I usually just clean the face of the rims. Nobody's really inspecting this car too closely. And of course, if a customer wants that done, I'm happy to do it, but you will have to pay for extra service like that. I also know detailers that have been known to take the wheel off, which I'm not a fan of, because then you put yourself into a whole different category for liability when you're removing things like tires. And I will not do that. Now, got the bulk off. Take a smaller wheel woolly. Get any little corners, anything I might have missed here. Clean that up. A little water there. And you can see most of the product's already off of here, which is great. These corners there, a couple little things, get the details. Gotta sweat those details, I've been told. And I can take this little brush and get anything that I might have missed. Lug nuts, always like to hide some good stuff. You may not be able to get every single nook and cranny. It looks a lot better. It's not as noticeable. You can see there's still some product down in there. It's coming out. Now at this point it's clean wheel, but you still have some product on the wheel. So you got to be able to rinse this. And that's when I go back to my bucket, get the big boar's hair brush, and you can see, look at that, the water that it retains. It's awesome. And that's how you rinse the wheel. Get in there, you just get it real sloppy. You'll see where the chemical still is. It's still sudsing up in places. Now, I would not suggest doing this in a client's garage, just for the fact that you do have runoff water. But I do know for a fact that I can use 1 5-gallon bucket full to the top and get 2 cars out of it, which isn't bad. This wheel is pretty dry. Or pretty dry, pretty clean at this point. Now usually I would start working on something else and just let this strip dry, but I want to show you the final stages of the wheel. So I'm going to break out the old Blaster Side Kick. It's a popular little tool. It's great for when you're mobile and you need some compressed air and you don't have a compressor. This stuff moves a nice high volume of air. It's not so much for drying a car, but I like to use it for blowing out interiors and drying wheels and getting nooks and crannies, things like that. Wheel's pretty dry. And I'll take the Stoner's chemical. I use the Stoner's because it's so much cheaper. I get 5 gallons of this stuff for 60 bucks, free delivery to the house. It's not quite as potent as Meguiars hyper dressing, but the price difference is phenomenal. For 2 gallons of hyper dressing, I get 5 gallons of this stuff. Even though I have to use a little bit more of this, it's still a better deal for me. And you get the wheel well. Get the tire, and you'll see there's some overspray on the wheel. We're not going to worry about that right now. Now, I usually will let this sit for a while too while I do something else in the car. Let that soak in there. And you can see it's white and it's run down. If you let it sit for 20 minutes, it soaks in pretty well. And stuff lasts about a week. It's not bad. Like I said, it's a great value. It makes a great presentation when the customer picks up their car. When I do the final wipe down of the rim, my drying aid, this stuff I can't say enough good things about. Express wax goes on everything, protects everything, makes everything look better. Spray it on there. And I know I said something about microfibers and dirty wheels. I don't consider this a dirty wheel. I feel a little bit better using a microfiber on this wheel than I would of the wheel that we began with. Some things just can't be avoided. I'm not sure if you noticed how easily the brake dust was removed. I attribute a lot of that to the spray wax that I put on here. It makes cleaning the wheels a whole lot easier, especially if you don't do it as often as I do. It gives you a little bit of a barrier on there. And that's all it is. It's a sacrificial barrier, just so that stuff's not attacking your clear coat on your wheels, or clear coat on your car. It's great for plastics, protects it from UV rays. And that took me maybe 5 minutes, and do that the whole car. You get, 20 minutes, get your wheel done. But it's done. There's a nice clean wheel. It's all complete, and I hope you enjoyed the video. This is Eric Sweat the Details.